The role of a library director, in my point of view, is to provide the tools that the staff needs when serving the public. And that means we have to have policies in place. We have to have an agreement about how long you can check out a DVD. We can't have people in the children's department checking out a DVD for a month and people on the main floor checking out a DVD for a week. We have to agree, because that's what good public service is, and that's what we do. We serve the people of Muskegon. So some of what a library director does is make sure that the right policies are in place. What kind of identification do you have to get a library card? What kind of things are we going to buy here? What's important for our collection? And how do we make those decisions? So I'm in charge of working with the board to make sure that we have all the legal underpinnings we need, that all the proper forms are filed. My L4029 form is filed by September 30th every year so that we can continue to open. We file our City of Muskegon use forms. I make sure that the fire extinguishers are inspected, that we meet all the laws and regulations regarding payroll. There's a lot of things that affect the public library just like they affect any other business, and that's my responsibility to make sure that all those things happen, that the building's clean, that the bills are paid, that the building's in good repair, that it's a safe place to visit, that the people are trained. All our people have passed fingerprint and background tests, that everybody here knows what they're doing, they have the proper certifications, they stay up to date. I make sure that people get continuing education, or when there's something new that comes up, I say, hey, I noticed that there's a workshop, or I think they're having a class down in Ann Arbor that goes over a weekend. This is the direction the library is going in, and how about, you think we could work out a way for you to go? So I make sure that all those things happen. And so I'm kind of the person that herds cats. There's lots of different ideas about what should be going on in a public library. The staff has ideas, the public has ideas, the board has ideas, and we've got some underlying, philosophical underpinnings. So I try to put it all together and make sure that it's an institution that's working together smoothly, go forward. Of course, we have meetings. We have department heads meetings. We have other kinds of staff meetings. We're a small enough organization. We have impromptu stand-up meetings. We also do an awful lot with email, because the Hackley Public Library is physically located in two different buildings across the street from each other. Each building is 3 stories tall, 4 stories if you count the Torn House basement, but nobody goes down there. So we can't count on just meeting each other at the break room, meeting each other at the lunchroom table. For one thing, somebody's running the store when somebody else is eating lunch. If I'm eating lunch, there's other people working at the circulation desk, or working in the children's department, or cutting the grass. So we can't count on just happening to be here. We're open a lot of hours per week. We're open 51 per hours a week for the public. So we're not all here at the same time, because we're open 6 days a week. So we communicate in writing. We do a tremendous amount of communicating with email. We do schedule meetings. We try not to close the library, so that's tricky too, to schedule meetings. But we try to just talk to each other and find out what's going on. One thing you haven't asked about is, how is the library doing financially? The answer's okay, but not great. We used to be open 7 hours a week, or 7 hours, good grief, 7 days a week. We had to cut Sundays this year. We have 7 people on layoff. This is because property values have gone down. And I live in the city of Muskegon too, and I'm certainly enjoying not paying as much property tax. But when property values were higher, people paid more property taxes. And the property tax, you city of Muskegon taxpayers, thank you so much. That property tax, some of it comes directly to the Hackley Public Library. When our revenue goes down, something has to change. And we're concerned. We're concerned about the future as property values keep going down, as there's other kinds of special set-asides that take money away from the library. I'm hoping we don't have to cut hours again. We might. I'm hoping we don't have to cut the book budget. We will again. I'm certainly hoping we don't have to cut any more staff. 7 people is a lot of people to lose. But we're here. We've been here for 121 years. We were here all the way through the Depression, when 50% of the people in Muskegon didn't pay their property taxes because they couldn't. The Hackley Library stayed alive, and we're going to stay alive now. We're trying to put it all together and pinch those pennies till Abraham Lincoln screams. You know, literacy is so important in Muskegon. Many people have heard the statistic, and it's true, that 1 out of 5 Muskegon adults reads below the 9th grade reading level. Some, of course, many don't read at all. That's called functional illiteracy, and it means that it's hard to find the post office, find directions, text, use computers, go to the grocery store. People who are functionally illiterate really have trouble. Thank goodness there is Read Muskegon, which we see Read Muskegon tutor pairs here a lot. Read Muskegon trains adults in tutoring other adults to help them learn how to read. They do that tutoring not in somebody's home or a restaurant or place of business. A lot of those tutor pairs come to the library because it's a safe place and because it's a public place and because nobody needs to be embarrassed about coming into a public library. And people who can't read, adults who can't read, are embarrassed. So we do partner with Read Muskegon, and I'm very happy to do so. A new initiative we're just getting underway involves working with preschoolers. There are a lot of things that we can do with children to get them ready to learn how to read when they start school. When they start kindergarten, there are fine motor skills that can be developed. The coloring, tracing letters, putting things in order, noticing differences. There are all kinds of verbal and manual skills that children need to have. There's certain ways of looking at things, of training their eyes, and a lot of it's fun. There are lots of kids in Muskegon that qualify for Head Start. There are not enough openings. There are all kinds of kids on the waiting list. There are kids who can't get into preschool because they can't afford it, because their parents are working. There's all kinds of things that we can do with preschoolers, and that's kind of the public library's bread and butter. We can provide those kinds of pre-literacy activities. We can get together. We already have story times. We already have all kinds of special times for preschoolers, for toddlers, for the 3- and 4-year-olds, the early elementaries. We're doing that kind of thing weekly. But we've been looking to see, is there something more we can do to support the schools before the kids get there, to support the Head Start programs and the all kinds of other programs. What can we do for the kids that aren't in those programs, or the kids that are but they need and want to develop more? What can we do to help parents? Parents may not be able to read very well themselves, but they may not have had a very good school experience themselves, but they care deeply about their children. Parents who read and parents who don't read all love their children and want the best for those kids. So what can we do to help those kids get ready to read? That's a new area we're exploring and we'll be moving ahead with in the coming months, and I'm very excited about it. Well, talking about the personal side of me, I'm feeling like I'm here about 12 hours a day. I wish I could tell you that I read, but I don't read very much, although I do try to read 2 newspapers a day. I read the Muskegon Chronicle and the Detroit Free Press pretty religiously. I belong to First Congregational Church. I belong to the Rotary. I'm a PEO. I'm on the board of Jefferson Towers, a low-income senior apartment complex, which is just down Jefferson Street. I'm on the board for the Hume Home, which is the assisted living home founded by Thomas Hume, Charles Hackley's business partner. Hume Home is celebrating 100 years, this month, May 12th. So I'm on a few boards, and I'm about to join the play reading committee of Muskegon Civic Theater, which will be something different and allow me to actually do some reading again. Sometimes I garden. Sometimes I read books. The last 2 books I read were about how to move library collections. not very entertaining stuff. Nobody else wants to read the books I read. Well, future goals would, of course, include getting the library physically and in the shape that it deserves to be, that we want it to be. I don't want you to think the building's falling around us. It is not. Every architect, every engineer, and we've had the place crawling with structural, electrical, mechanical, all kinds of engineers, has been extraordinarily complimentary about how well this building was built, but more importantly, how well it was maintained through the years. It's simply come to the time after 121 years where some things need replacing, some things need upgrading. Those pipes, we need to take care of some of those pipe issues and those kinds of things. So my goal in the next few years is to make sure that the public library is poised for its third century, the first century when it was built, the 1800s, the 1900s, that most of us know and remember, the main century. And now we're into its third century of use, and we need to be physically ready to move ahead, whatever that means for the new ways people use books, the new ways people learn. I want to get away from the idea that the library is just a big warehouse full of print on the corner of 3rd and Webster. Libraries are a lot more than that. They're a place to be, they're a place to learn, a place to connect and discuss with other people. They're certainly a place where you can access materials, but it's not just a physical item. It's a downloadable item. It's an item you can view or listen to together. There's a lot of exciting things happening, and I think the library will continue to be a gathering place and a community center, and it's exciting to think about how those kinds of changes and things are going to happen in our third century of use. Thank you for coming today.